Guys, this video is brought to you by our friends at Deal Dash, the world's leading auction site that brings you great deals on brand new high-quality products. Deal Dash buys excess inventory from brands of all sizes and passes on big savings to you with their pay-to-participate auctions. There's hundreds of auctions each day at DealDash.com or on their iOS and Android app. Here's how it works. Each bid raises the price by 1 penny, and every time someone bids, the 10-second auction clock restarts. If no new bids are placed before the clock runs out, the last bidder wins. Guys, I just bid on this wireless charging pad, and yes, I won. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee on your first bid pack purchase, and shipping is always free, so you've got nothing to lose. Join the over 20 million registered users and go to DealDash.com/Chael. Use my code Chael to get $10 worth of free bids on your first bid pack purchase. You guys watch something called 24/7? Now our version of it is called Embedded, but Embedded is easily the greatest thing the UFC puts out. It is the greatest show, but 24/7 helped to inspire that, and those were being done exclusively on Floyd Mayweather. That didn't always hold up. Once Pacquiao got his shine, they were doing it, but they would just follow him around for 24/7. There would be a camera crew that would follow you 24/7. He would rush to edit. He would turn those pieces around and get that on the air that night. Sometimes they do a whole week. But in between the weigh-in and a fight one time, they made one of these. It was just incredible. It was just incredible, and you're just behind the scenes. There's nothing that'll make you feel part of it more than being behind the scenes. The UFC started redoing their walkouts. You used to, when you walk into the arena, there was literally a curtain. You pull back the curtain, boom, you're in the arena. But that's the first time the camera would pick you up. The UFC started doing that way in the back. I mean, you'll pass craft services. You'll pass some other fighter that's taking his gloves off. You'll pass somebody that's just having a conversation. It's great. It's the way to walk them out. You start that music back there. It's great. It's a bit, but you're behind the scenes. Now, I am convinced, with absolutely no proof, I'm convinced that 24/7 is 100% effective. I do not believe that you could watch it 24/7. You might not want to watch it. I'm saying if you do, if somebody's sitting you, not even a fight, but you sit down and watch 24/7, I'm convinced you cannot watch one and not want to know what happened in the fight. Even if you don't watch it, even if you don't buy it, you'll want to know who won that fight. They are so effective and they're so wonderful. There's something about those footages. So the sport's biggest star, Conor McGregor, released over the weekend 2 videos of himself sparring. They were seconds. It was like a combined of 11 seconds for 2 different videos. Oh, God, I wish it would have been 30 minutes. That's fun for me. I'm just wondering if you guys share that same opinion. I was on vacation. And we don't do vacations. I mean, my family just doesn't. Sometimes we have to travel for work. We'll take the whole family, but we never set aside to go. No. We went on vacation. Went up to San Diego. John Bardis had given us this we're just having a great time. And Coach Daryl Christian calls me, finds out I'm in town, says, hey, why don't you come down to the gym? It was only 20 minutes from where I was. And I go down there, and Juan Archuleta and Brian Ortega and TJ Dillashaw have the whole gym to themselves. Daryl Christian's putting them through a workout, and it's a round robin. I mean, I'm watching, wow, this is awesome. This was awesome. Free admittance. I'm the only one there. I got a Monster Energy drink, and I'm having fun, and, about an hour and 15 minutes of absolute fun that cost me nothing, that nobody could ever see. And I feel that way when Conor puts out these pieces. This is a guy who's paid $10 million to go and fight, and he's just giving these pieces out. Nate Diaz did just seconds when he was in the ring. Oh, you'd rewatch that over and over. I had a fantasy, guys. It was at Team Quest. The original Team Quest. Team Quest was a monster gym. Whatever studs we didn't have, they would come to us. Guys were flying in from around the world. Now, this was a real who. This was of yesteryear. I would tell you about James Thompson. I would tell you about BJ Penn. I would tell you about Don Fry. I'd tell you about Boss Root. I'd tell you about Rico Rodriguez. But these are guys that were just coming through the gym. That housed the champion Randy Couture, that housed the Pride champion Dan Henderson, that housed the #1 ranked fighter of the world, Matt Lindland, that housed the UFC champion Evan Tanner. And I'm watching matches that you could only fantasize about. The Abu Dhabi champion Jeff Munson's coming in. The up-and-comer about to fight for a championship, Dennis Holman's in the corner of the room. Chris Lieben and Ed Herman and Josh Haynes and Nate Corey and myself. I could just keep going. Now, nobody was impressed with us, right? This was a dirty room. This thing stunk. We didn't have showers afterward. Like, this wasn't one of those conditions. But over time, UFC got exposure and MMA got exposure. And these guys went on and had a level of success, major exposure through The Ultimate Fighter, things along these lines. Ryan Schultz and Matt Horwich and Mike Dolce. I could just keep playing this game of people that you would know, people that you would recognize, people that you wouldn't have paid to see. And I'm watching them go round robins. Every 5 minutes, a bell rings, and boom, they grab someone else. It's Chris Lieben fighting Dan Henderson. After that, it's Dan Henderson fighting Evan Tanner. After that, it's Matt Lindland versus Randy Couture. Like, this was every day. Every single day. And the world was different, guys. iPhones weren't invented. Just by example. This year was 2001 when all of this started. But by 2005, The Ultimate Fighter came out. Randy was the first ever coach, so we get a whole bunch of our guys to go on that season. Boom, they have huge exposure. Overnight success. Household names in the world of MMA. So at any rate, I'm watching these sparring sessions every day. I don't have an iPhone. Camcorders used to be a thing back then, but you had to bring them in, you had to set it up on a tri-top, you had to get the camera just right. And then even once you have this footage, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Who are you going to sell it to? Netflix wasn't around yet, just by example. Amazon and Apple and Disney, they just weren't doing these things. Fight Pass wasn't a name. Vince hadn't started with a network. What are you going to do with it? So I was going to do a Big Brother type thing. I was going to bring in cameras. They were going to be locked. The window would go live every day at 3, which is when we have practice. I was going to charge people around the world to have a monthly subscription. Now, looking in this technology and figuring out how to do this, let alone getting Team Quest to go along with it, because then everybody wants a hand in the pot. Why am I not getting? It's just one of these things where it never went anywhere, but I have a massive regret. I don't just mean from the business standpoint. I could have just set up that tripod. Could have my mom come in and just set up that tripod. But there are these lost fights. Evan Tanner, rest his soul. I watched Evan Tanner fight Dan Henderson, Matt Lindland, and Chris Lieben in the same day. That's stuff that would be coveted. It's gone. It's lost forever. We got nothing to do it. We got no acclaim. No media came in. People weren't patting us on the back. People didn't care. It's a weird group of guys that decide they're going to get together at 3 o'clock today and fight. We're weirdos. I would get my hair cut, and I would not tell people I was in the UFC. Because I didn't want to go think, well, what's that? And I tried to do this. Well, it's like wrestling. It's like boxing. Oh, you jump off the top rope. They never got it. It's like, let me just die. I've done that with my own name before. What's your name? Chael. I've gone with other names just so I don't have to, enunciate and tell them where it came from, and it's the last 5 letters of my. You just try to hurry through things. But fighting was that way, where I was living my dream. I thought this was cool. This is what I wanted to do, but I realized nobody else did. And if I do have one regret, I have several regrets, quite frankly. Life is all a huge, massive regret. The only thing I would do again if I could do life again, I'd marry the same girl. Aside from that, right here, people, I don't have any regrets, and that's what got me here today. Man, shut up. I'd have put it all on black if I knew which way the wheel was going to turn. And so when I see Conor McGregor putting out these clips, I want more. Right? I think you guys can relate. How would you like to be in my spot? You're on vacation. You're all by yourself. You feel great, right? I'm not sweating. I'm not working out on the mat. TJ, Archuleta, Ortega doing a round robin. Tiki and Rampage coming on the backside of this for a mitt session. Chet Congo in the parking lot. These are cool things. I had these every single day at Team Quest. I took them for granted. And the greatest coaches, Robert Follis, rest his soul. Clayton Ayers, Tom Samario coming in, Dave Hagen. It was the best of the best. And I knew at the time I should be recording this. I knew at the time they're going to get in my way. They're all in here doing this. They're getting nothing. I'm going to bring it. I'm going to figure this out. And I may not have. I may not have got the website up and going. Digital was very different back then. It would have been massively expensive to do, particularly by the time you're doing commerce. Now, I can do a Google search and find 20 guys to build me the app. But I would have the content. I don't have it. And I never tell you guys about that. There's a rule. What happened in the practice room stays in the practice room. You probably wonder when Evan Tanner was the champion of the world in the UFC and Dan Henderson at the exact same weight class was the champion of Pride. Oh, by the way, Matt Lindland was ranked number 1. Matt Lindland wasn't the champion. He was ranked in front of both those guys. You probably wonder who won when they fought. I have that answer. But I didn't document it, and that's a regret.